All right, today we're diving into the mindset of a man who redefined leadership and decision-making, not just in cricket, but in life. Any guesses?
Leadership and decision-making? Sounds like a top CEO or maybe a military strategist?
Close, but think sports. Someone who stayed calm in the storm, finished impossible matches, and led India to some of its greatest victories.
Oh, now we're talking sports? All right, Virat Kohli? No, wait. Sachin Tendulkar?
Legendary names, but not quite. I'm talking about the one and only MS Dhoni.
Ah, of course. That makes sense. But what exactly made him different? Why do people say he had a special mindset?
That's what this book, Think and Win Like Dhoni, explores. It's not just about his cricketing skills, but the way he thinks. His ability to stay calm under pressure, make the right decisions at the right time, and lead people without losing his cool.
Staying calm under pressure? That's easier said than done. Most people panic when things go wrong.
Exactly. And that's what makes Dhoni so fascinating. Think about it. World Cup final, last over, pressure mounting, and he walks in like it's just another day at work. No stress, no panic, just pure focus.
So what's his secret? How does he do that?
That's what we're going to uncover step by step. The book breaks it down into practical lessons. How Dhoni thinks, how he makes decisions, and how anyone can apply these lessons in their own life, whether in business, studies, or daily challenges.
Sounds interesting. So, where do we start?
We begin with Dhoni's core principle. Control your mind, control the game. His greatest strength wasn't just physical, it was mental. He knew that if he could control his emotions, he could control the situation.
Makes sense. But how does someone actually do that? I mean, in a high-pressure moment, how do you not panic?
That's exactly what we'll explore next. How Dhoni trained his mind, how he made decisions under pressure, and how he built the mindset of a winner.
All right, I'm hooked. Let's get into it.
So, Alex, we've talked about Dhoni's legendary composure. But the real question is, how does he do it? What's the secret behind his ability to stay cool under pressure, make tough decisions, and lead with confidence?
That's what I've been wondering. I mean, handling pressure is tough. Most people either freeze up or make rash decisions.
Exactly. And that's where Think and Win Like Dhoni comes in. The author, Sfurti Sahare, breaks down Dhoni's mindset into 5 key principles.
That actually makes a lot of sense. So, let's start with the first one, the right attitude. What does that mean in Dhoni's case?
Dhoni's mindset is built on unshakable belief and resilience. Think about his journey, growing up in Ranchi, a place with no big cricketing infrastructure. He wasn't from a privileged background, yet he never let that limit his ambition.
That's true. A lot of people get discouraged by circumstances, but he just kept going.
Exactly. His attitude was simple. Control what you can, and don't worry about what you can't. He didn't dwell on problems. He focused on solutions.
That's easier said than done. How do you actually develop that kind of attitude?
One of Dhoni's secrets is detachment from pressure. Instead of thinking about what's at stake, he focuses only on what needs to be done right now. That's why, whether it was the World Cup final or a regular match, he looked the same, calm, composed, and in control.
That's crazy. Most people let the occasion get to them.
All right, Alex, now that we've covered Dhoni's winning attitude, let's move to the next principle, setting goals. This was a huge part of his success.
Yeah, I get that goals are important, but let's be real. Everyone sets goals. What made Dhoni's approach different?
That's the key. Most people set vague goals. I want to be successful. I want to play for India. I want to be rich. But Dhoni, he broke his dream down into small, specific, and achievable steps.
Like, instead of saying I want to play for India, he focused on things like getting into his school team first?
Exactly. He didn't just sit around dreaming, he worked in stages. His first target was his school team. Once he made it there, he aimed for the district team. After that, the state team. And then, step by step, he made it to the national team.
That actually makes a lot of sense. Big dreams can feel overwhelming, but if you break them down, they feel doable.
That's exactly why Dhoni's method works. Small wins build momentum. Each level he cleared gave him confidence for the next one.
But what about setbacks? It's not like he had a smooth ride to the top.
Great point. That's where his mindset came in. He wasn't obsessed with just the final destination. He stayed focused on the next immediate goal. Even when he didn't get selected for the under-19 team, he didn't waste time sulking. He just adjusted his focus to the next opportunity.
That's a big lesson. Most people get stuck thinking about what didn't happen instead of looking forward.
Exactly. And here's another thing. Dhoni didn't just set goals, he adapted them. Initially, he wanted to be a football goalkeeper, but when his coach saw his talent and pushed him towards cricket, he embraced the change instead of resisting it.
That's interesting. So, he wasn't blindly stuck on one path, he was flexible.
Right. Setting goals doesn't mean being rigid. Dhoni was always adjusting, learning, and staying open to new opportunities.
I can see how this applies to real life, too. A lot of people get stuck on one plan and don't know how to pivot when things don't work out.
That's the difference between wishful thinking and smart goal setting. Dhoni had direction, discipline, and adaptability.
So, to sum it up, Dhoni's way of setting goals was about breaking big dreams into small steps, staying focused on immediate targets, adapting when needed, and using each success as a stepping stone.
Exactly. And that's why he never panicked about the future. He knew he was always making progress, one step at a time.
All right, I'm loving this breakdown. What's the next principle?
Now we're moving to one of the most powerful principles Dhoni lived by, following the process.
Yeah, I've heard Dhoni say, focus on the process, not the result, a lot. But what does that really mean?
It's simple, but deep. Most people obsess over the outcome, winning a tournament, getting a job, becoming successful. But Dhoni? He focused on doing the right things every single day and trusted that the results would take care of themselves.
So instead of thinking about lifting a trophy, he focused on training, practicing, and making the right decisions on the field.
Exactly. Let me give you an example. Do you remember the 2011 World Cup final?
Of course, India versus Sri Lanka, Wankhede Stadium, massive pressure, and Dhoni walks in ahead of Yuvraj.
And that's where his process-driven mindset kicked in. He didn't think about winning the World Cup in that moment. He focused on stabilizing the innings, reading the bowlers, rotating the strike, and waiting for the right time to attack.
And that's why he didn't panic. Even though the whole country was watching and the pressure was insane, he stayed calm.
Exactly. Because he wasn't thinking about the trophy, he was thinking about the next ball. That's the power of focusing on the process.
That's actually a game changer. Most people worry about results, but Dhoni just kept doing the right thing over and over again.
And this applied beyond cricket too. When he was a ticket collector at Kharagpur railway station, he didn't complain about the job. He kept training, kept working on his game, and trusted that if he did the right things, opportunities would come.
That's a tough mindset to have. It's easy to get frustrated when things don't go your way.
True, but that's why Dhoni is special. He never wasted time worrying about what-ifs. He stayed present, controlled what he could, and let the rest unfold.
So, let me get this straight. Following the process means not stressing over the outcome, but instead, focusing on doing the small, right things consistently.
Spot on. Success isn't about one big moment. It's built on hundreds of small right actions over time.
And I guess this also explains why Dhoni didn't react much on the field, whether it was a win or a loss.
Exactly. He believed in the process. If the team followed it and still lost, he wouldn't complain. But if they didn't stick to the process and won by luck, he wasn't satisfied either.
That's next-level discipline. No wonder he became such a great leader.
And that's why every Dhoni fan should learn from this. Whatever your goal, focus on the process, trust your work, and let the results follow.
All right, I'm convinced. What's next?
One of Dhoni's biggest strengths? Living in the moment. He never let past failures or future fears cloud his decisions.
Makes sense. But in high-pressure matches, how do you even do that?
By focusing on what's in front of you, not what's at stake. Take the 2013 Champions Trophy final. England needed just 20 runs off 16 balls. The pressure was insane. But Dhoni, He wasn't panicking, calculating all possible scenarios. Instead, he did something unexpected. He threw the ball to Ishant Sharma, even though Ishant had been expensive earlier.
Right, we talked about this. Most captains wouldn't risk it.
Exactly, because they'd be stuck thinking about Ishant's past overs or the possibility of losing. But Dhoni, he focused only on the next ball. No fear, no hesitation. And what happened? Ishant took 2 wickets in 2 balls, turning the match completely in India's favour.
So Dhoni wasn't worried about past mistakes or what losing would mean, just the present moment?
That's the key. And we've seen this time and again. In the 2016 T20 World Cup against Bangladesh, when India needed to defend 2 runs off 3 balls, Dhoni stayed ice cold. He knew exactly what to do. He removed 1 glove, got ready for a run-out, and executed it perfectly.
That moment was unreal. It wasn't luck. It was him staying locked in, even when the pressure was at its peak.
That's the Dhoni way. No overthinking, no regrets, just complete focus on the present moment. And now, the final principle: leadership skills. Dhoni wasn't just a great cricketer. He was a leader who inspired his team, not by words, but by actions.
Yeah, but leadership in cricket is tricky. You're dealing with different personalities, big egos, and insane pressure. How did Dhoni manage all that?
By leading with trust and confidence. He never shouted or blamed anyone. Instead, he backed his players, even when the whole world doubted them. Take the 2011 World Cup final.
You mean when he promoted himself up the batting order?
Exactly. India was chasing 275, and when Virat Kohli got out, everyone expected Yuvraj Singh, who was in top form, to walk in. But Dhoni, he sent himself instead.
That was a massive risk. If he failed, people would have ripped him apart.
But that's what leaders do. They take responsibility in tough moments. Dhoni had played with Muttiah Muralidharan at CSK, so he knew Murali's bowling inside out. With Sri Lanka relying on their spinners, Dhoni decided he was the best person to handle the situation.
And he absolutely nailed it. 91 not out off 79 balls. Then that 6 to seal the win. And it wasn't just big matches. Even in everyday situations, Dhoni led differently. I remember how he trusted his players even under extreme pressure.
Like the 2007 T20 World Cup final, the last over. Pakistan needed 13 runs off 6 balls, and Dhoni could have gone with an experienced bowler. But he handed the ball to Joginder Sharma.
I remember that. Joginder wasn't a top bowler, but Dhoni backed him completely.
Exactly. Even after Joginder bowled a wide and then got hit for a 6, Dhoni didn't panic. He calmly walked up to him, said a few words, and stuck to the plan.
And then Misbah played that scoop shot, and Srisanth took the catch. India won.
That's leadership, not just making decisions, but trusting your team even when the stakes are sky high.
No wonder his teammates respected him so much. He never looked for personal glory, just made sure the team succeeded.
And that's why his leadership lessons go beyond cricket. Whether in sports, business, or life, leading with trust, confidence, and humility makes all the difference. And that wraps up our discussion, but honestly, we've only scratched the surface. What we covered today, that's barely 5 to 10% of what this book actually offers. Think about it. Dhoni's journey isn't just about winning matches or lifting trophies. It's about how he thinks, how he makes decisions under pressure, how he leads without ego, and how he stays calm when the world around him is losing control. We've used some real match scenarios to explain his mindset, some of which the book covers, and some that we brought in to show you how these principles play out in real life. But here's the thing. Dhoni isn't just a cricketer. He's a mindset, a philosophy. And if you really want to understand what makes him different, what makes him a leader, and what makes him the kind of person who thrives under pressure, then you have to experience this book for yourself. Whether you're a cricket fan, a student, an entrepreneur, or just someone who wants to develop a champion's mindset, this book is filled with lessons that go way beyond the game. So don't just stop here. Go through the book, dive into the details, and start thinking like Dhoni. Because at the end of the day, success isn't just about talent, it's about the way you think. And trust me, there's still so much to talk about when it comes to Dhoni. His incredible success in collecting trophies, his match-winning instincts, and the way he handled pressure in the biggest moments of his career. There's no way we're stopping here. And here's something huge. We haven't even talked about his CSK journey yet. The way he built Chennai Super Kings into one of the most dominant teams in IPL history, the records, the trophies, the unforgettable moments, that itself is a story worth discussing. And we will be covering it in future videos. So if you're a fan of Dhoni, CSK, leadership, or just winning under pressure, make sure to subscribe. Because this is just the beginning. There's a lot more to come.
Subscribe for more content.